The glittering ballroom of the Plaza Hotel pulsed with laughter and the clink of crystal glasses as Porter Thompson balanced a heavy tray of champagne flutes. His black vest and white shirt felt like a uniform that barely hid the bruises still fading on his ribs from 6 months ago. Then he saw Marcus. His ex stood near the entrance in a tailored navy suit, scanning the crowd with that familiar predatory gaze. Porter's heart slammed against his ribs. Marcus had found him again. The man who once swore love but delivered control, isolation, and fists when Porter tried to leave. Panic clawed up his throat. He could not face another confrontation, not here, not in front of New York's elite. His eyes darted across the room and landed on a solitary figure at a VIP table in the corner. Damien Voss, the tech billionaire whose company had sponsored the entire gala for children's education. Damien sat alone in a perfectly cut black tuxedo, his dark hair neatly styled and his expression carved from stone. No one dared approach him. He radiated the kind of power that made people keep their distance. Without another thought, Porter set the tray on a service table and walked straight toward him. Guests murmured as he passed. He reached the table and in one fluid, desperate motion slid onto Damien's lap, wrapping his arms around the man's broad shoulders as if they were longtime lovers. Damien's body went rigid beneath him. Porter leaned in close enough to smell the faint scent of expensive cologne and whispered urgently against his ear, "Please play along. My ex is here. He's abusive. He will hurt me if he gets close." Just for a minute. For a terrifying second, nothing happened. Then Damien's arm slid around Porter's waist, steady and strong. His voice came low and calm, a deep rumble that vibrated through Porter's chest. "Play along. I will protect you." Marcus was already weaving through the crowd, his face darkening as he spotted them. Porter forced a smile and pressed his cheek to Damien's, pretending to nuzzle him. The billionaire did not push him away. Instead, he lifted his free hand and gently tucked a stray lock of Porter's light brown hair behind his ear. The gesture looked intimate to anyone watching. Marcus stopped a few feet away, his eyes narrowing. "Porter?" Marcus said, his voice tight with forced charm. "What the hell is this?" Damien spoke before Porter could. His tone was ice cold and perfectly polite. "I believe you are addressing my partner. Is there a problem?" Marcus blinked, clearly caught off guard. "Partner? Since when?" "Since he decided he deserved better than someone who uses fear as foreplay." Damien tightened his hold on Porter's waist just enough to feel reassuring. "Now, if you will excuse us, we were enjoying a private moment." The surrounding guests had gone quiet. Phones were already out. Marcus opened his mouth to argue, but something in Damien's unflinching stare made him back down. He shot Porter a look that promised this was not over, then turned and disappeared into the crowd. Porter let out a shaky breath. His whole body trembled. "Thank you," he whispered, still not moving from the lap that had become his only shield. "I am so sorry. I did not know what else to do." Damien studied him for a long moment, his gray eyes unreadable. "You are safe now. But we should leave before he circles back. My car is waiting outside. Come with me." Porter hesitated. He knew nothing about this man except his name and net worth. Yet the alternative was Marcus waiting somewhere in the shadows. He nodded. They stood together. Damien kept a protective arm around Porter's shoulders as they walked through the ballroom. Whispers followed them. Porter kept his head high even as shame burned in his cheeks. Outside, a sleek black Maybach waited. The driver opened the door without a word. Inside the car, the silence felt heavy. Porter stared at his hands. "I really am sorry. I put you in an impossible spot. I work for the catering company. I am just a waiter. I should have handled it differently." Damien leaned back against the leather seat, his posture relaxed but alert. "You did what you had to. I have seen men like your ex before. They do not stop unless someone stronger steps in. My name is Damien Voss. And you are?" "Porter Thompson, 27. Trying to start over in this city that never sleeps." The car moved smoothly through Manhattan traffic. Damien did not press for more details right away. Instead, he made a quiet phone call instructing someone to handle any press inquiries from the gala. When he hung up, he turned to Porter. "You can stay at my penthouse tonight. Separate room. No expectations. Just safety." Tomorrow we figure out the rest. Porter wanted to refuse. Pride screamed at him to handle his own mess. But exhaustion and fear won. He nodded. Thank you. I do not know how to repay this. Damien gave a small, almost imperceptible smile. That is repayment enough. The penthouse occupied the top 2 floors of a sleek tower overlooking Central Park. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the glittering city lights. The space was modern and minimalist with clean lines and expensive art, but it felt surprisingly warm. Damien showed Porter to a guest room larger than his entire apartment. Fresh clothes were already laid out on the bed courtesy of an assistant who had been called ahead. Porter showered and changed into soft gray sweatpants and a black t-shirt that smelled faintly of luxury detergent. When he emerged, Damien was in the open kitchen pouring 2 glasses of water. No alcohol. Smart. They sat on the wide leather sofa. Porter finally told the short version. Marcus had been charming at first, then controlling, then violent. Porter left after a hospital visit he still had nightmares about. Changed everything. New job, new phone, new life. But Marcus kept finding him. Damien listened without interrupting. His jaw tightened at the worst parts. When Porter finished, Damien spoke quietly. No one deserves that. Not ever. You are not going back to your apartment alone. Not until we know he has backed off. Porter felt tears prick his eyes, but he blinked them away. Why are you doing this? You do not know me. Damien looked out at the city lights. Because years ago someone should have done it for me. And because tonight you reminded me that power is useless if it is never used for good. They talked until the sky began to lighten. Porter learned Damien was 35, built his empire from nothing after a rough childhood, and kept his personal life locked down tight. The gala had been obligation, not enjoyment. By the time Porter finally went to bed, he felt something he had not felt in years. A fragile thread of safety. Morning light streamed through the penthouse windows when Porter woke. For the first few seconds, he forgot where he was. Then the events of the previous night crashed back. He sat up, heart racing, until he remembered the calm presence of Damien Voss. The billionaire had not taken advantage. He had simply offered shelter. In the kitchen, Damien was already dressed in a charcoal suit making coffee. The scent filled the open space. Good morning. Sleep okay? Better than I have in months, Porter admitted, sliding onto a stool at the marble island. Thank you again. I will get out of your hair today. Find a safe place. Damien set a mug in front of him. Black with a touch of cream, just how Porter had mentioned liking it last night. Stay. At least a few days. My security team is already looking into your ex, Marcus Hale, right? Software salesman with a temper and a few restraining order violations he somehow dodged. Porter stared into the coffee. You did not have to do that. I know, but I did. Damien sat across from him. Look, I am not a hero. My world runs on appearances and deals. Last night people saw us together. The rumor mill is already spinning. We can use that. Use it how? Fake it. Let the world think we are together. It gives you protection and plausible deniability. For me, it quiets questions about why I never bring anyone to events. My board has been pushing me to seem more approachable. A relationship, even a short one, looks good for the company image. Porter nearly laughed. You want me to be your fake boyfriend? A waiter from Brooklyn pretending to date one of the richest men in America? Damien shrugged. You are smart, articulate, and you already proved you can think fast under pressure. We set clear rules. Separate rooms. No physical stuff beyond what is needed in public. When the threat from Marcus is gone, we part as friends. No hard feelings. Porter thought about his tiny studio apartment where Marcus had shown up twice already. He thought about the way his own family back in Ohio had stopped speaking to him the day he came out at 19. No safety net. No one to call. This was insane. But it felt like the first real choice he had made in years that was not driven by fear. Okay, but I keep my job. I am not becoming a kept man. Fair. Damien smiled faintly, the first real one Porter had seen. We start small. There is a charity dinner in 2 nights. You will come as my date. After that we see. The next 48 hours passed in a blur of careful planning. Damien's assistant, a sharp woman named Lena, brought over clothes that fit Porter perfectly. They rehearsed basic stories. How they met at a coffee shop near Damien's office. How Porter made him laugh when most people only wanted favors. Small truths wrapped in convenient lies. Porter called his boss at the catering company and explained he needed a few days off for personal reasons. Surprisingly, they understood, especially after the gala gossip reached them. On the night of the dinner, Porter stood in front of the mirror in a midnight blue suit that cost more than 3 months of his rent. Damien appeared behind him, adjusting his own cufflinks. "You look the part." "I feel like an imposter," Porter said quietly. "We all do sometimes." Damien met his eyes in the reflection. "The trick is to decide what part you want to play long-term." The dinner was at a rooftop venue overlooking the Hudson. Cameras flashed the moment they stepped out of the car. Damien kept a hand at the small of Porter's back, guiding him through the crowd. The touch was light but steady. Porter found himself leaning into it more than he expected. They sat at the head table. Conversation flowed around tech investments and philanthropy. Porter contributed when he could, drawing on books he had read during lonely nights. Damien watched him with quiet approval. Halfway through the evening, Marcus appeared again. This time with a date on his arm, but his eyes burned when he saw Porter. He approached during a break in the program. "Cute story you two are selling." Marcus sneered low enough that only they could hear. "But we both know what you really are, Porter. Damaged goods." Damien stood smoothly, placing himself between them. "Security is already moving in, Marcus. Walk away or the photos from last night go public along with the police reports you paid to bury. Your choice." Marcus paled and retreated. Porter exhaled shakily. "How did you know about the reports?" "I make it my business to know threats." Damien sat back down and took Porter's hand under the table. "You are not alone in this anymore." Later that night, back at the penthouse, they sat on the terrace with the city humming below. Porter opened up more. About his parents who told him being gay was a sin and stopped answering his calls. About the years he spent trying to earn their love by being smaller, quieter. About how Marcus had seemed like salvation at first. Damien listened, then shared his own pieces. His father had been a harsh man who drilled into him that vulnerability was weakness. Coming out had never been an option in the boardrooms he navigated. Loneliness had become his normal. For the first time, Porter felt seen. Not pitied. Seen. As they said goodnight, Damien paused at Porter's door. "This arrangement does not have to stay fake forever. But only if you want that. No pressure." Porter's heart stuttered. He was not ready to answer. Not yet. But the possibility hung in the air like a promise. The weeks that followed blurred into a careful dance of public performance and private honesty. Porter kept his waitering shifts on weekends, but spent most weekdays at the penthouse working on the novel he had always dreamed of writing. Damien gave him space and quiet. In return, Porter cooked simple meals that made the huge kitchen feel less like a showpiece and more like a home. Publicly, they were the new it couple. Tabloids ran headlines about the mysterious young writer who had captured the elusive Damien Voss. Photos showed them at gallery openings and quiet dinners. Porter learned to lean into Damien's touch without flinching. Each time their hands brushed or Damien pressed a light kiss to his temple for the cameras, something inside Porter softened. Privately, the walls came down slowly. One evening after a long day, Porter found Damien staring at an old photo on his phone. A younger version of himself with a man who looked kind. "My first and only real relationship," Damien said when Porter asked. "He died in a car accident 12 years ago. After that, I decided it was safer to stay closed off. The board likes the image of the lone wolf genius. My mother still sends me articles about eligible socialites. She thinks I just have not met the right woman." Porter sat beside him. "That sounds exhausting." "It is." Damien looked at him. "But you make it feel less heavy." Their conversations grew deeper. Porter admitted the guilt he still carried for not leaving Marcus sooner. Damien confessed the fear that his empire would crumble if the world knew he was gay. They argued sometimes about whether hiding was survival or cowardice. The arguments never turned cruel. They ended with quiet understanding. Then the first real crack appeared. Porter's sister Emily called. She had seen the photos online. Their parents were furious. They called it a publicity stunt and demanded Porter come home to Ohio to talk sense into him. The message was clear. They still hoped he would change. Porter hung up shaking. Damien found him on the terrace later. "Do you want to go?" "No. But part of me wonders if I am making everything worse for you. Your stock took a dip after the first big article. People are asking questions." Damien sat close enough that their shoulders touched. Numbers bounced back. "This is the first time in years I feel like I am living instead of performing. Do not run because of them." Porter turned to him. Their faces were inches apart. For a moment he thought Damien might kiss him for real. Instead, Damien rested his forehead against Porter's. "We take it one day at a time." The next charity event was larger. A black tie auction for LGBTQ youth shelters. The irony was not lost on either of them. Damien was the keynote speaker. Porter sat in the front row watching the man who hid his truth speak passionately about acceptance. During the cocktail hour, a board member pulled Damien aside. Porter overheard snippets. "This relationship is raising eyebrows. Investors are conservative. Think about the optics." Damien returned tense. Porter squeezed his hand. "We can slow down." "No," Damien said firmly. "I am tired of slow." That night, after the event, they sat on the couch watching the city lights. Porter finally asked the question that had been building. "Is any of this still fake for you?" Damien was quiet for a long time. "It stopped being fake the night you sat on my lap and trusted a stranger to keep you safe. But I will not push. You have been through enough." Porter reached out and took his hand. "I am scared. But I think I am falling anyway." Their first real kiss happened then. Soft and tentative. Full of the weight of everything they had shared. No cameras. No performance. Just two men choosing each other in the quiet. Marcus did not stay quiet. The first sign was a text to Porter's old number that somehow still worked. "Nice fairy tale. Enjoy it while it lasts." The second was a leaked story to a gossip site claiming Porter was a gold digger who had targeted Damien at the gala. The article included blurry photos from that night and anonymous quotes from someone who claimed to be a former coworker. Porter stared at the article, heart sinking. "This is my fault." Damien read it over his shoulder, then closed the laptop. "No, this is his move. We counter." They met with Damien's PR team. The plan was simple. Controlled interviews where Porter spoke about his writing and their relationship in honest terms without mentioning the abuse. Damien stood beside him every time. The narrative shifted. People began rooting for them. But Marcus escalated. He showed up at Porter's old apartment building and got into a shouting match with the super. Then he contacted Porter's parents, feeding them lies about Damien being manipulative. Emily called again, this time crying. "Mom and Dad are talking about flying out. They think you are in danger." Porter felt the old panic rising. "Maybe I should just disappear for a while. Protect you from the mess." Damien took his face in both hands. "Listen to me. The only way this works is if we face it together. I am not losing you to his games." A betrayal came from inside Damien's circle. One of his longtime board members, a conservative investor named Richard, leaked internal emails suggesting Damien was distracted by his personal life. The stock dropped again. Richard confronted Damien in the office while Porter waited outside. "This boy is going to cost you everything. End it before the next quarterly meeting or I start asking for a vote of no confidence." Damien came out of the meeting furious but resolute. He told Porter everything over dinner. "I told him the truth. That I am gay and I have been for my entire life. That you are not a distraction. You are the reason I finally stopped lying to myself." Porter's eyes widened. "You came out to him?" "To him. And tomorrow I am doing a short statement. No more hiding." The statement went viral. Damien Voss confirms relationship with writer Porter Thompson and addresses long-held personal privacy. Support poured in from unexpected places. But Richard and a few allies began maneuvering behind the scenes. Marcus sent one final message. "You think you are safe? I still have the videos from when you were too scared to say no. One click and your perfect boyfriend sees who you really were." Porter deleted it, but the threat lodged in his chest like ice. That night he told Damien about the videos. They had been recorded without consent during the worst months of the relationship. Damien held him while he cried. "We will handle it. Legally. Quietly. You are not that person anymore. You are the man who chose to fight for himself by sitting on a stranger's lap in a crowded room." The moral choice came faster than either expected. Richard called an emergency board meeting demanding Damien's resignation unless he distanced himself from Porter. The reason given was fiduciary duty, but everyone knew the real issue was prejudice wrapped in business language. Damien faced a brutal decision: sell his majority shares and walk away from the company he built, or end the relationship publicly and keep control. Porter overheard the late-night calls. He saw the exhaustion in Damien's eyes. One night Porter packed a small bag while Damien was in a meeting. He left a note. "I cannot let you lose everything you worked for. I love you enough to walk away. Please do not follow me." He made it as far as a motel in New Jersey before Damien's security found him. Damien arrived an hour later looking wrecked. "You do not get to decide what I lose," Damien said, standing in the cheap motel room. "I already lost years pretending to be someone else. I will not lose you too. The company can survive without me. I cannot survive without this." They drove back to the city in silence, broken only by quiet confessions. Porter admitted the deep fear that he was not worth the sacrifice. Damien admitted the terror of starting over at 35. They held hands the entire way. Back at the penthouse, they faced the next storm. Marcus released edited clips from the videos online. The internet exploded. Some condemned Porter. Others saw the manipulation for what it was. Damien issued a statement supporting Porter and promising legal action against revenge porn. Porter's parents showed up at the building unannounced. His mother cried. His father demanded he come home and get help for his lifestyle. Porter stood his ground for the first time. "This is my life. This is who I am. If you cannot love me as I am, then you never really did." They left. The rejection hurt, but it also freed something inside him. Damien faced his own family. His mother flew in from California. She met Porter over dinner and after a tense hour admitted she only wanted her son happy. The conversation was not perfect, but it was a beginning. The price was real. Damien stepped down as CEO, though he kept a seat on the board. The company's stock recovered surprisingly fast once the drama settled. Porter finished his novel and found an agent. Their relationship moved into the open without pretense. The final confrontation happened at a small park near the penthouse on a crisp autumn afternoon. Marcus waited on a bench. He looked smaller than Porter remembered. Desperate. "I just wanted you back," Marcus said when they approached. "You were mine." Porter stood straight with Damien beside him. "I was never yours. I was scared and you used that. I am not scared anymore." Security arrived within minutes. Marcus was arrested on outstanding warrants and the revenge porn charges. As he was led away, he looked back at Porter with something like regret. Porter felt only pity. In the months that followed, life settled into a new rhythm. Damien started a smaller venture focused on education technology. Porter's book was published to quiet acclaim. They traveled. They argued about whose turn it was to cook. They healed. One evening on the same terrace where their first real kiss happened, Damien got down on one knee. No cameras. No audience. Just the two of them and the city lights. "I do not need the world to approve. I only need you. Marry me, Porter." Porter pulled him up into a kiss. Yes. They married quietly the following spring, surrounded by the few people who had stood by them. No lavish gala. Just love earned through fire. Looking back at the desperate moment when a frightened waiter had sat on a stranger's lap, Porter often wondered about the road not taken. The one where he had faced Marcus alone and kept running. Was it right to risk everything, including another man's empire, for a love that began in panic and pretense? Or was the real mistake believing anyone should face their demons without someone willing to whisper, "I will protect you"? What do you think was the right choice?